Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this peach tres leches. This is the perfect summer dessert. It's cold, fruity, and just melts in your mouth. It starts off with a sponge cake that is infused in a delicious peach milk. Then it's topped with some fluffy whipped cream and finally a fruity peach compote. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is prepare the sponge cake. You're going to take 2 small bowls and separate 2 eggs into egg whites and egg yolks. Now into the egg whites, we're going to add a few drops of lemon juice. What this does is help stabilize the egg whites when we're whipping it up into a meringue. Now use an electric hand mixer to beat this on medium-high speed until it's nice and frothy. Next, I'm going to add in about 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, which is 50 grams. Now continue to beat on medium-high speed until this reaches stiff peaks. This process takes around 6 to 7 minutes depending on the speed of your electric mixer. You could also do this using a stand mixer or even a whisk, but keep in mind it's going to take much longer if you're going to do this by hand. This is what stiff peaks should look like. As you can see, when I flip the bowl around, it's not dropping over. Everything it's holding its shape. Now we're going to set that aside, and in a separate bowl where we added the egg yolks, I'm going to add in the remaining 50 grams of granulated sugar and a pinch of salt. Then I'm going to use the electric mixer again and beat this on low speed until the mixture is pale and fluffy. This just takes around 1 to 2 minutes and can easily be done by hand as well. Once the mixture looks something like this, we're going to add in some water, vegetable oil, and a little bit of vanilla extract. For some reason, I forgot to hit record when I added in the water, but you definitely do need to add that in there. Give that a good mix until it's fully incorporated. Next, we're going to add in some all-purpose flour and baking powder. You could also use cake flour instead and leave out the baking powder. Give that a good mix until it's fully incorporated, and then after that we're going to get rid of the electric mixer because the remaining steps are going to be done using a spatula. Use the spatula to clean the sides of your bowl, and then what we're going to do is bring back the whipped egg whites, which is our meringue, and we're going to add 1/3 of the whipped egg whites into this egg yolk mixture. Now use your spatula to carefully fold this together until it's fully incorporated. You don't have to be too gentle for this first fold, but still you don't want to get rid of all that air that we just incorporated into the egg whites. Now what we're going to do is pour all of this fluffy mixture back into the egg whites. Being very gentle this time, you're going to fold these two together until it's fully incorporated. You want to use this motion where you go around and then bring it in, just like this. This is the way to fold without getting rid of too much of that air. Once everything is fully incorporated, stop mixing. You do not want to overmix this batter. Now we're going to transfer this batter into a lined 6-inch baking pan. I have not greased this pan. I only lined it so that it's easier for us to remove the cake from the pan. Bake this in an oven preheated to 160 degrees Celsius for around 25 to 30 minutes or until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Once baked, let the sponge cake cool down completely. While the sponge cake cools, let's prepare the cherry compote. In a small pan, I have here peaches that I peeled and cubed, and into that I'm going to be adding some brown sugar, lemon zest, and some lemon juice. If you don't have lemon zest or lemon juice, you could leave it out. Now use a spatula to give everything a good mix, and then we're going to place this on medium flame and cook for around 5 to 7 minutes until the mixture is nice and thick. You do want to keep mixing in between while this cooks to avoid burning the bottom. Now once your mixture looks something like this, you can either stop here or proceed to the next step, which is optional, and what I'm going to be doing is blending this compote into a fine puree. You could skip this, as I mentioned earlier, and just add the compote on top of your cake in chunks, but I decided to make this into a puree just so it spreads over the cake nicely. After pureeing it using the hand blender or the immersion blender, I'm going to strain this just as an extra step to get rid of any lumps. Again, this is also an optional step. You do not need to strain this compote. Now we're going to refrigerate this until it's fully cooled and we're ready to assemble the cake. Now let's prepare the peach milk. In a large glass or bowl, you're going to combine together some whole milk, condensed milk, and heavy cream. You could also use evaporated milk instead of whole milk, which is what is traditionally used in tres leches, but since whole milk is easier to find, that's what I decided to use. Next, I'm going to add in 1 large peach which I peeled and pureed in a blender, and then after that we're going to give everything a good mix. This is our peach flavored milk ready to go. You can store the peach milk in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble the cake. Now to assemble the cake, I'm going to flip the sponge cake over just so that we have a flat surface to work on, and now using a toothpick or skewer, poke holes all over the top of the cake. Next, we're going to pour all of the peach milk over the cake, and I like to save just a little bit so that I can pour it into the plate when I'm serving. It's going to look like it's way too much milk, but don't worry, just give it like 5 minutes and all of that milk will disappear into the sponge cake. We're going to pop this into the refrigerator for about 10 to 15 minutes just to rest and soak up all that milk. While that rests, let's prepare the whipped cream frosting. In a medium-sized bowl, you're going to combine together some heavy whipping cream and powdered sugar, and then use an electric mixer to beat that on high speed until stiff peaks form. You could also use store-bought whipped cream if you want to make this process faster. The entire written recipe with tips and tricks, step-by-step instructions, as well as a printable recipe is available on my website, thefoodflamingo.com, and you can find a link to that in the description box below. Now the cake has been resting for about 15 minutes, and what we're going to do is add on all of that whipped cream frosting. Now I'm going to use an offset spatula to spread that out evenly. If you don't have an offset spatula, you could also use a butter knife or just the back of your spoon. Finally, we're going to add on the peach compote. This is fully cooled. You do not want to add warm or hot compote on top of the whipped cream, otherwise the two layers are just going to mix and melt into each other. Now I'm using an offset spatula to spread out the peach compote as well, just to make it nice and even. If you didn't blend your peach compote, you could just roughly add the peach chunks all over the top of your cake and you're good to go. Now, before I chill the cake, I wanted to decorate it, and I wanted to decorate it just like a Turkish tres leches or tri leche is decorated. So what I did was I used whipped cream to make these lines all over the top of the cake. I added my whipped cream into a small Ziploc bag because I didn't want to use an entire piping bag just for this little amount of cream. Then after I made the lines, I used a toothpick to run through the lines in opposite directions like this. You can do whatever you'd like or even just leave it plain. Then comes a hard but very important step, which is to let the cake chill in the refrigerator for at least 2 hours before serving. And there you have it, your peach tres leches is ready to go. All you have to do now is slice and dig right in. I've made many flavors of tres leches, but this one has to be one of my favorites because I love baking with peaches. The flavor of peaches works so well in cakes, and with this peach milk and this cake just being a cool dessert, it works even better. The recipe again is available on my website, thefoodflamingo.com, and I will also have links to my favorite baking products and ingredients in the description box below. So if you're interested, you can check those out as well. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe for more easy and delicious recipes just like this one. Like the video if you've liked it, and comment down below if you've tried this recipe or if there's anything else you'd like me to make. And as always, thank you so much for watching.